everybody. Welcome to the first Listener DMs episode of 2026. On this episode, I'm going to be reading DMs directly from listeners. And just so you know, I have seen most of the DMs. I try and not read them too much because I want to give a good, honest reaction when Anna reads the message on the special. I don't know which one she is going to read, so there's going to be a bit of an element of surprise for everybody in this one. I hope you can stick around. I also want to let you know that this weekend, the Silent Date Tell-All is going to drop. That's going to come out Saturday night. It's almost done, and I'm so happy with how well this is coming along. So keep an eye out this weekend. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, and you'll get a notification when the Silent Date Tell-All drops tomorrow, Saturday, January the 10th. I also want to say, playoff weekend in the NFL. Go Bills. And, one more thing before we get to the DMs. Yesterday, Ontario Premier Doug Ford did a news conference to announce the return of the Northlander. This is a train line that the government owns that they're going to use to get back and forth all the way up to Timmins and Cochrane. Now, we used to have the Northlander, but it was canceled because ridership was so low, and it cost a lot of money to run it when the train is basically empty. Will this time around be different? I thought the Premier did a very interesting news conference on that yesterday. I'm not going to do it in this episode. I want to leave this one just for DMs, but keep an eye out for that episode next week, particularly if you're one of my amazing listeners in Northern Ontario. I get the vibe from going through comments on social media. Many of you are excited to get the Northlander back and have train service all the way up to Cochrane, Ontario. But I do have a few questions, and I am wondering, well, it's the government that's running it, and they don't exactly have a stellar track record of producing transit that's efficient or even built on time. So we're going to talk about that. Keep an eye out for that episode coming next week. Now let's get to the DMs. To do it, I'll bring in the great Anna Almeida. How you doing, Anna?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be back and reading
you've
some really great messages from your listeners. It's going to be epic and all over the place too.
You've heard a little bit of the Silent Date Tell-All.
I have wine ready, and I am excited for Saturday. That is my Super Bowl. I've been, I can't believe how invested I am in this relationship that if all of a sudden this stopped, I don't know what I would do. I don't know. I'm so happy for them, but I want more.
You have heard more of the special than anybody else has.
It's juicy.
I was auditioning some of it in the on-air studio for our radio show, and I think you'll agree. We went there. We covered a lot of different topics.
You asked all the questions. Every question that I was even surprised you asked a few about the dancing or this and that. And I'm here for it. I'm so thankful you did. I'm so excited. It's so juicy. I liked hearing his voice too, and just adds to what I think he looks like because I have no idea. Yeah, it's going to be great.
I think there's the part about the dancing in particular, I think is going to be good. And just so everybody knows, I know that he does the dance, but I'd never, before we recorded the tell-all, I'd never asked him how he does the dance. And I said to him, I don't even know. Are you naked when you do it, or is it a strip tease? Woo. You got to hear this. Oh. It's going to be in the tell-all. It comes out tomorrow, but if you want to wait till Monday, Sunday, whatever, you can listen to it anytime. It will be there forever.
Forever and ever, and I'm so grateful, but I will be listening tomorrow. And also, kudos to him. He did not shy away. He answered everything.
He was good.
He was.
Were you surprised at his voice?
Yes.
Did you have a different thought in your head about what he would sound like or how he would present?
Listen, I don't even know if this was because everything can be taken the wrong way, but I felt like he was going to sound nerdy.
Nerdy.
I don't know why. I just had that perception in my mind. Nerdy, not as confident. But he was the complete opposite. He sounded very stern. I was like, damn, I'm attracted to you now, buddy.
He is an absolute riot to hang out with. We golf together, we drink together, we hang out together. He's a good friend, and you will hear the Silent Date Tell-All this weekend, everybody, or whenever you get a chance. Okay. All right, Anna, you've got some great DMs there that you have curated a collection of. Ready to go?
Ready to go. We're going to start off with Sue. So she writes, "Hey, Scott, while I'm glad they got Maduro, I'm confused to why he wouldn't be tried in his own country. This is terrifying what this president is doing and is able to do. Can you speak to how this isn't considered war? I'm glad for the Venezuelan people, but this man is terrifying. How can we respect a president who most of what comes out of his mouth can be fact-checked and proven to be a lie? Do you support Trump? I'm sorry, but he is a narcissist. years. 3 more years, and he can cause irreparable damage. And I'm a conservative, by the way. This president has rocked my world, though. Not in a good way. Sorry for the ramble. That's from Sue.
Well, tell me more about the last time you got your world rocked in a good way. No, I'm kidding.
Saturday.
That was
Silent date.
Sue, you said?
Yeah, Sue.
Okay, Sue, a couple of things in your message. Number one, the reason he is tried in America and not in Venezuela is because he was indicted in America on drug trafficking charges. So a grand jury has looked at enough evidence. They feel there's enough there that they've produced an indictment that gives the government authorities permission to arrest. Now, typically, you wouldn't go into another country and arrest someone, let alone their leader. And I know there's some people who have an issue with that. Let me skip ahead a little bit. You asked, do you support Trump?
Yeah.
I am happy to say that I look at everything on an individual basis. Let me give you another example. Doug Ford. I think Doug Ford is just the greatest thing for getting rid of those speed enforcement cameras. That needed to be done. He recognized that people were getting ripped off, and he stood up for the people, and I commend Doug Ford for doing that, and I thank him for doing that as well. That's great. When it comes to him banning Crown Royal from the LCBO, I'm thinking we need an election. We got to get rid of this guy. This is crazy that he wants to tell adults what they can and can't drink. And I also disagree with his position on America in large part. So, I can look at a leader and say, this is good, this is not good. With Trump, I don't think anybody disagrees that what he did to solve their immigration problems so quickly was needed for America. And that's just one example. So I can't really answer, do you like Trump or not? I wish that he behaved a little differently sometimes. When it comes to going into Venezuela to arrest Maduro, I think it was an incredibly well-planned military operation. They're calling it a law enforcement operation. I wouldn't necessarily agree, but I also don't think it was an invasion of any kind. I don't think it was an act of war like Sue suggested. I think it is what it is. The Americans have always operated with impunity internationally between the military and the CIA and the FBI. Some of the stuff we hear about, and I'm sure there's lots of stuff we don't hear about. They go into other countries and execute things all the time. By the way, I don't mean people, I mean missions. In this case, it was to get Maduro. Last time, it was to get that leader of Al-Qaeda. Before that, it was to arrest Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden. There's been many examples over the years of when the Americans have gone in to get their guy. Now, in this case, Maduro was wanted. Everyone agreed, including U.S. lawmakers and Canadian lawmakers. Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau, two of the most senior-ranking liberals over the last 10 years, have both said Maduro had to go. He was an illegitimate president, and he was oppressing his people. The fact that they got him out of there and freed the Venezuelan people, I think that's great. How they did it? Very minimal loss, no loss of life on the American side and fairly minimal on the Venezuelan side. I think all things considered, it really couldn't have gone any better. And again, the end result is Maduro is gone. What I do have a problem with is the U.S. running Venezuela. I think the Venezuelan people are entitled to a Venezuelan government that works for the Venezuelan people. And frankly, I don't see how the Americans, who do want to serve their own interests as well, can do both equally, represent Venezuela's interests and their own. I think that if the U.S. wanted to get rid of Maduro, they should facilitate free and fair elections right away. And then they should make a deal to buy Venezuelan oil at market prices so the Venezuelan people prosper. But I think that that should be the extent of it. So to put a bow on this, I don't have a problem with how they got Maduro. I think that that is something that is many, many other presidents before Trump set a precedent for how they go out and get leaders that they want. At least they didn't kill him. They brought him back to America for a trial, and he's going to be tried with the same rights that an American citizen would have. I think that that's pretty well the gold standard for how this should be done. But I'm not loving what's going on now. And I don't think the U.S. should be involved in running Venezuela other than helping them get the oil infrastructure up. They want to buy it, make sure the Venezuelan people prosper. Great. But day-to-day issues, there should be a local Venezuelan government. Okay. If you ask me.
And that is touched on in this next one from Andreas. He writes, "Hey, Scott, I listened to your podcast and your question about Venezuela. I'm extremely happy the people are finally free, especially many Venezuelan friends of mine. That said, JD Vance's comments about controlling Venezuela feels wrong. Communism is about control. So why does the U.S. need to control anyone? If America truly cares about the Venezuelan people, it should help them stand on their own democratically directly. Otherwise, it feels like this was never about the people, just the oil. It's similar to Greenland. The U.S. claims to be freedom fighters, yet often act like global bullying. Ask once, and if the answer is no, take it anyways. It's sad that other countries just stand by and watch. That's from Andreas.
Thank you, Andreas. I don't think anybody's going to stand up to the Americans. There's really only a couple of countries that could, and that's Russia and China. Nobody else is big enough or sophisticated enough, or they're just smart enough to know that we would lose if we go up against the Americans. It's the most powerful military force in history and the most powerful on Earth. I don't like the Americans occupying Venezuela. I don't like it. I would really like them to, like I said, facilitate free and fair elections, put a legitimate government in Venezuela, and then continue diplomatic relations as they normally would. That was impossible with Maduro. He had to go. Two DMs in a row here from people who are happy that Maduro's gone, and I don't know anybody that's not happy he's gone. So that was a good thing. The U.S. going in there for the oil, that's likely it. And I'm sure there was a certain aspect of they did want to get rid of this dictator who, again, everybody, including those on the left, including Joe Biden, including Chuck Schumer, they all agreed Maduro had to go. Trump was just the one who actually authorized the operation to remove him. But that should be the extent of it. It should be a business relationship with Venezuela now, and I would be a lot more comfortable with that. The Greenland situation's a little different. I don't see this as bullying. Greenland is not going to join the U.S. unless Greenland wants to join the U.S. They're going to make them a very good offer. They're going to try and buy them. Every citizen in Greenland is going to get American dollars. They're probably going to get citizenship in America. That's something that's very appealing to a lot of people who are living a fairly isolated life in Greenland. I don't think the U.S. is going to go in and take them militarily. I think it's a ridiculous suggestion that they would. They want it, but they're not just going to take it. And neither did they take Venezuela either so far. But they've got to facilitate those free and fair elections. I don't have a problem with the U.S. going after Greenland. Like I said the other day, just because it's the way it is doesn't mean it's the way it always has to be. Since the beginning of time, territories have been traded between different nations and countries. You know, Greenland belongs to Denmark right now, or it's a territory of Denmark. There's so many islands in the Caribbean that have changed hands over the years. It's just what goes on. Just because Greenland is a product of Denmark right now doesn't mean it has to be forever. And it might make more sense for the people in Greenland to be part of the Americas. I think anyway, geographically, practically, there's a whole lot of reasons why. And the U.S. has a lot of expertise. I think that the people of Greenland are going to prosper if they become American. And frankly, I don't see what's been done for them now that's any better. I don't know. What's Denmark doing for them? Doesn't seem like anything, really. If the Americans want to go in and they want to build and they want to drill and they want to actually pay people to become American citizens and join their country, I have no problem with that as long as the people of Greenland agree. I don't necessarily think Denmark needs to agree. I think the people of Greenland need to agree. It's their country. And if they want to become American, hey, have at it. We might be having this conversation about Canada possibly joining America at some point. There's a lot of people who think that might happen. So let's see where it goes. I don't see it as bullying with Greenland. I see it as aggressive negotiation. It's a negotiation like anything else. And the fact that the Americans are not taking military force off the table is them negotiating. That's all there is to it. No one's going to attack Greenland. And you know what? If anybody else attacked to try and take Greenland, say China or Russia or someone, you bet your butt the Americans would be there to defend them. I think that this is just something that we need to see play out. I don't think anything terrible has gone on here with Greenland. And I think that whatever ends up happening is probably going to be something that's advantageous for the Greenlandians. What would they be? That's Greenlanders?
I've never thought of it before. Yeah, what are they?
About to be American if you ask me.
Well,
good question though. Thank you.
Yeah, well, Kirk actually touches on a few things that you've talked about, and there's something new at the very end, so just keep that in mind. So Kirk says, Scott, most agree that the Venezuelan leader was awful, but does that give any country the right to extract him?
Yes. Okay. You know what? Just before you go any further, countries that love freedom, that support freedom, that believe in democracy, I think that this is something that they should feel obligated to do, to liberate the world when they're living under oppression under a dictator. And again, nobody is suggesting that he wasn't a dictator and wasn't oppressing his people. The Venezuelans were liberated in a way by the Americans. So I'm going to disagree slightly with that assertion, but let's hear more.
Well, and he goes on to say, if the Israel prime minister faced war crime charges, should another country do the same? History shows forced leadership change usually makes a country worse off, at least short term. Change works better from within, like America's grassroots opposition to Britain. Imagine if France had interfered, it would have been chaos. I understand why this may be appealing from a conservative view, but I don't see it leading to anything positive. That's the first part. Next up, you're right.
By the way, I don't know how you feel that way. I'm really not sure because, I look at a lot of different examples. Let's look at Cuba. Cuba's about to go through a real rough time because they had a deal with Venezuela. They had a deal with Maduro. Cuba's also a communist country. There's a lot of reason to think that the Cuban government might fall and democracy may actually prevail and flourish in Cuba. And you know who wants that? The people of Cuba. Mm-hmm. It's good for them. There's going to be a domino effect from what the U.S. has done in Venezuela. And frankly, I think that if you're a dictator, you're on notice. He mentioned the Israeli leader. Well, the Israelis aren't living under oppression, are they? They live in a free and fair society with a functioning government that seems to work for them. It's no different than most other Western nations. I don't have a problem with this, to be honest with you guys. I don't see it the way that he sees it anyway. I don't think that the Venezuelans are going to go through a period of whatever it is, disparity, because Donald Trump got rid of Nicolas Maduro. He had to go. And by all accounts, there's going to be more money flowing into Venezuela for that oil than at any point in history. Venezuela could be the Dubai of South America. They've got so much oil. They just never tapped into it. And what was tapped into was all funneled off into corrupt areas. This is going to be a good thing for the Venezuelans. I just don't want the Americans to take over that country. They can certainly help. They can certainly facilitate elections. They can certainly buy oil from them, but they should buy it and let Venezuela determine their own destiny.
Well, he also talks about the Greenland situation. He says it's more strategic than it seems, especially for war or deterrence. Borders and control used to change often. And just because it hasn't in decades doesn't mean it can't. Also, you're right about the Minnesota incident. If she had just stopped and gotten arrested, she'd still be alive. Tragic and unnecessary, but reckless actions can have tragic consequences. And lastly, a deep dive on the truck driver who got 55 days in Bolton, Ontario seems warranted. Someone got off lucky.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of really, really bad justice stories happening right now. They kind of died down for a little bit, but there's some really controversial decisions coming out of our courts right now. What was that? Read me that last part again. I know it was a trucker from Caledon.
From Bolton, Ontario.
Sorry.
55 days, and seems like someone got off pretty lucky.
Courts should not be adjusting their sentencing to ensure that someone can stay in the country longer or to make sure that it doesn't impact their future ability to work. If somebody commits a serious crime or they seriously hurt somebody else, we shouldn't go lenient on them. What the judges boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Our justice system is a mess. And I do want to point this out because this came up a lot over the last year. The Carney government said they would fix the justice system. They said they would. They had a chance in June. They didn't do it. When Parliament came back, they didn't do it. Now we're heading to another session at the end of January. Will this be the one where they actually do it? Because we've now gone a full year. Mm-hmm. We all agreed a year ago we needed justice reform in the worst way. It's a year later, and it's no further to actually happening. It's still in front of a committee. We haven't even voted yet, let alone implemented the changes. It's very, very frustrating what's going on in our country here when it comes to crime and punishment because justice doesn't seem to reflect the will of victims anymore. And I think that victims are the first people we should be talking to about justice. They're the ones who were victimized.
Yep.
We shouldn't be doing anything to accommodate the perpetrators.
Such true words right there. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to move on now to Sab. Okay, so he wants to know, do you think our government is trying to surrogate us? We're told not to trust so many people, countries, governments, organizations because they don't fall in place with our liberal views. I feel like the fallout with the Americas was done on purpose. The negative opinions of the liberal government is pretty overwhelming. I just feel like they're trying to keep us away from other people's opinions and way of life. Dictatorship? I don't know. That's from Sab.
Well, it's that too, as we go through all these DMs from people that are talking about dictatorships and oppressed people. There's a lot of people in Canada that feel that we're oppressed, that feel we're living in a dictatorship because we have a government that we can't seem to get rid of. There's a lot of people who feel that way, right or wrong. Although I would say that is definitely not an apples to apples comparison. He wanted to know if the government tries to segregate us.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, absolutely, emphatically, so that there's not an inch of doubt, that is exactly what the government does. They're called wedge issues. And what the Liberals got so good at doing, particularly under Justin Trudeau. And whether you love or hate Justin Trudeau, you certainly can't criticize his political instincts because, God, that guy was effective politically. He got himself elected 3 different times, and part of the way he did it was by driving a wedge. He'd drive a wedge, he'd galvanize his side, and he would demonize anyone who disagreed. The best example was the vaccines during COVID. Look what he did to people who disagreed. Look at the lengths that he went to try and shame anybody who dared to have a different opinion than his. That's what governments are famous for doing. They drive a wedge. They want to segregate you. If you disagree, if you want to go against the grain or have a quote unquote unpopular opinion, you're going to feel it. They're going to make sure you feel it. That's where cancel culture came from. This is all very, very common. This is a political strategy, and the wedge issue, quote unquote, that's probably first chapter of the political science textbook that you read if you take poli-sci in university. That's what governments do. Wedge issues are essential, and Justin Trudeau got so good at weaponizing them. They are trying to segregate us. They are trying to divide us. They don't want us to all agree. There are certain things that I think the entire country would agree on. I think most people, by and large, the vast majority, would agree that we need justice reform, that we need something done about the cost of living, that we need our immigration problem taken care of. And we can debate the how, but we can't debate that it needs to be done. The government doesn't want us all on the same page because then they've got to fight all of us. So they try and pick off different people and pull them to their side with little trinkets and tidbits and here and there. And, there's going to be this for that interest group. And it's just not right. The gun buyback program, there's a great example. A complete and total failure by every single metric that you look at. But they're not going to back down on it, even though the vast majority of the country can see it's a stupid idea and a crazy waste of money. So they're going to keep trying to divide you. If you don't agree with our gun buyback, you're in favor of assault weapons on the streets. And that's not what it is at all. Nothing could be further from the truth. Nobody wants open carry permits being issued in the city of Toronto. Nobody wants that. They just don't want to go ahead with this particular program. But the government is so good at creating that wedge. They'll divide you like that. If you don't agree that this gun buyback program is essential, you're in favor of mass murder. Well, no, I'm not. I don't support mass murder, but I disagree with how you're doing this. They're famous for it, Anna. It's I can't even fault them for it because it's brilliant how they do it, and it's been very effective for the Liberals over the years. But if you look around and think our country is divided, there's a reason for that because they intentionally set out to divide us.
Okay. Thank you for breaking things down for us. Next up, Nicole. Hi, listening to the Tuesday episode about why unions are saying there's not enough space for government workers to go back to work 5 days. She says, my friend worked at AGCO and said that they closed about 7 offices in Ontario in 2021 and 2022. Also, her new company was formed during the pandemic and they didn't get a big enough space to accommodate everyone all at once. So now they're trying to find a bigger space. Apparently, a lot of places are rented, so they gave up their leases. So that is why they're not going back.
And what was the name?
Her name is Nicole.
Nicole, thank you. I got to tell you, that was probably the second most popular topic this week was the government office space. For those who missed it, in Ontario, the government has ordered all provincial employees back to the office 5 days a week. This was a staggered re-entry. They had to be back, I think, 3 or 4 days a week back in October.
Year, yep.
And then now is the finale. Everybody's got to be back 5 days a week. But the rollout here seems to have been insane, like extremely chaotic, and I don't understand why. It was pretty simple. When we sent you home during the pandemic and said, you know what? Go and work from home. Go do that. We didn't sell off any office space. I mean, the building for you said she was the AGCO?
Yeah.
Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, just so you know. That's that'd be an interesting place to work.
Yeah.
In any case, she's suggesting that they downsized or...
So basically, they said that they closed about 7 offices in Ontario in 21 and 22. So
how do you close an office, though? Because I'm not aware that any government buildings were sold. So lo and behold, enough people have now messaged me, including some in the provincial government, that have told me how much space Ontario is leasing. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why we would be leasing office space as a government. Number one, we have massive real estate holdings as a province and as a government. Massive real estate holdings. Why on earth would we lease anything? We have the money to buy buildings. We don't need to pay rent to anybody, but we are. Apparently, we're paying a lot of money in rent, and I can't figure out why. Did we really? No, we didn't sell off buildings. So all we did was cancel some leases? Why would we do that if the plan was to bring people back to work? Or was this plan to bring people back to work just scribbled down on the back of a cocktail napkin one day after a conservative fundraiser? I really don't know, but it doesn't make any sense. I just don't have a lot of faith in these people to run business operations properly, Anna. You can see it, ordering people back to work and there's no space for anybody. How did we lose control of this situation so badly? When they got sent home, they had a space to work, they had a desk, they had a phone, they had a computer. What happened to all of that? How did we end up with 10 different people sharing one desk? Or is that just union bluster? Admittedly, I thought it was just the union full of hyperbole, trying to make the government look bad because they don't like that they're being sent back to work. That's what I thought. But I've heard from enough people now about the amount of office space that we were leasing, and frankly, I'm shocked. I can't think of a bigger waste of money. Why would we do that? Craziness. Hey, listen, I feel bad if you're in that situation. I don't know why anybody would be ordered back to work if there's nowhere for them to physically work. The whole thing just seems like a mess. And by the way, I don't think that everybody is back. When I was told that all provincial employees have to go back to work, I assumed that meant all of the ministries as well. I'm told there's a lot of people within the education sector that were working from home. Everyone from trustees to superintendents to curriculum consultants and people like that. They weren't ordered back to work. And I don't know why, because even though their check comes from the school board or the Ministry of Education or wherever it comes from, they're still a Government of Ontario employee at the end of the day. And I don't know why everybody wasn't sent back. Why just some people selectively? Is everyone at OLG a Crown corporation, but not necessarily the government? Are they all back at work? I really want to know more because it seems like this rollout was not well thought out and they had a long time to get ready for it too. So there's no excuse for this. It's just colossal mismanagement.
That's a great question. I'm interested now myself. All right, next up, it's from someone who is anonymous, and they write, the hospital in Barrie, RVH, needs to make...
The Royal Victorian Hospital.
Yeah, needs to make $2.5 million in cuts by March. This past year, they operated on a $1 million surplus, down from $32 million in 2024. So I assume $2.5 million is so that they can be balanced and then more cuts by year end, probably so the executive can justify their 10% bonuses. The executive salaries are equal to 2 times the operation surplus. $600,000 for the CEO on a $600 million operating budget, but cut the healthcare staff. That's the logical choice, right? We don't need more healthcare staff.
The healthcare industry it's just so screwed up, Anna, that I don't know that we can fix it.
I don't know how.
Healthcare should be our top issue. I don't understand how Doug Ford can go through an entire news conference without being hounded from the media about the state of our healthcare system. When you hear there are hospitals that have now gone from a $32 million surplus to their $2.5 million in the hole.
So yeah, this past year operated on a $1 million surplus, down from $32 million in 2024.
But executives are getting bonuses.
Yeah, 10% bonuses.
I know people in the civil service don't want to hear this necessarily, but no bonus should be paid out unless it is 100% linked to a performance increase. Bonuses are supposed to be, you do your job, you get your salary, you're done. You go above and beyond, save the company money, bring in some big new client, give prosperity or hope for the future for the company, then you get a bonus. The simple fact that you worked the whole year is not enough to justify getting a massive bonus, particularly when your bonus is 6 figures. Nobody can look around at our hospital system and say, this is running very efficiently. Yeah. Everybody's getting great service. Nobody can do that. So there should be no bonuses whatsoever. Period. Full stop. Absolutely none in the public sector in healthcare. None.
Hear, hear.
But they're getting them, and healthcare workers are getting laid off.
I know.
I don't understand. How backwards is that?
It's just, you need them to keep operations going. We don't have enough staff. Everybody's overworked, underpaid. Oh, it's a lot.
But this is why we need to privatize it. And I know that there's people who are scared of that. I know that there's going to be I'm probably going to get spammed like crazy. Scott Fox is in favor of privatizing healthcare. Let me be really clear. You're goddamn right I am. Because the public system does not work. We've now proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that government cannot run anything, let alone our healthcare system. Name me one thing that runs well that the government does. Point me into one. Service Ontario? Get out of here. Actually, they contracted most of that out. Those are private businesses now. The government's got to get out of the healthcare business because they're not set up to run things. That's another reason I'm concerned about this Northlander train that's going to be going up to Cochrane and Timmins because it's being run by the government and they're just not good at it. And that's not necessarily a shot at the government. Government is set up to govern. They're not business people. Doug Ford goes on all the time about how he's a business guy. Maybe he is, but he's wearing his premier hat. And as premier leading a government, it's just not good. Look at the Eglinton Crosstown LRT. What kind of results are we getting here from these people? We need a simple road repaired, and it goes on for years. These people are not good at this. Why would we let them run our healthcare system? It's very simple. Private companies come in. They run the hospital. And you might think, oh, I don't want private corporations administering my healthcare. I do. Because you know what private healthcare companies want? Profit. And they will offer better service, more flexible hours. They will have staff on when they need to have staff on. They are not going to be paying out bonuses to people who do not do the job properly. They're going to have the best nurses and the best doctors because they want patients to come to their hospital. That's how they get paid. Mm-hmm. So as long as the government continues to pay for it, and that should never change, you'll always be able to pay for your health care with your health card. Who cares who runs it? Government has proved they can't. And if you don't believe me, walk into any hospital in Toronto or in Ontario right now, any one of them. And you're probably going to think, what the hell is this? It's anarchy in the emergency room sometimes. People are waiting 12 hours. It's a failure. Let a private company do that, and you watch how quickly they're going to get you in and out because they want to get paid and get the next paying customer in. And again, the government will pay for it. But we got to let private companies run these hospitals because the current system is not working. Can we have privatization in healthcare? We already do. Every single walk-in clinic and doctor's office is private. Mm-hmm. We need the same in our hospitals.
And also, people are spending so much money. They're going across the border just to get MRIs because they have to wait so long to be seen here. So, yeah.
But this is government inefficiency, right? And again, it's not a shot at the government. I'm not saying they're stupid people. I'm just saying that government is not set up to run a business. They just don't function like that. And in a lot of cases, they don't think like that.
Yeah. And that's okay. Know your strengths. And if this is not it, let somebody else take over who can do it properly.
Back in the day, this seemed fine when everybody had the best of intentions. But right now, everybody's trying to get ahead and make the most money that they possibly can. These CEOs taking 6-figure bonuses. Yeah. I'm not surprised they're doing it. I would want a 6-figure bonus too. But at the end of the day, I'm not entitled to a bonus unless I deliver results. And they're not delivering results.
You said it, man.
Imagine having a doctor that makes half as much as the guy who administers the hospital. How wrong is that?
Yeah.
And they're not even doing a good job. They're understaffed. We're begging people to come here to practice medicine. It's insanity that they're getting bonuses.
And the amount of people who just leave the career altogether. It's just, it's a lot to take in. Thank you for that.
It's not on the news, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of people that left.
Yeah.
You know, they'll always run a story on the news about, doctors are saying they want to come and set up in Ontario, blah, blah, blah. How many left?
I have so many friends who left the healthcare industry.
So many nurses that have said, you know what?
In particular.
I'm not nursing anymore. It's just not worth it.
Yep.
Or they'll go into private nursing where they basically work for a staffing firm that they might assign them to a home care situation one time. They may be called to the exact same hospital that they used to work at, but they'd be called back by the private company they work for. There's a lot of people who have just had enough, and I'd love to see the stats on how many of our healthcare workers the Americans poached. Because when they went on a recruiting spree down there, especially over COVID, they made it very lucrative for Canadian doctors and healthcare professionals to go down there. I have to think they scooped at least a few of them. How many, though? How many people do we need in our healthcare system? How many more doctors, how many more nurses to say, now we've got what we need, we can deliver the healthcare we need? I don't know that anybody will give you that number because it's probably terrifying.
It's terrifying. Yeah, just from conversations with people who are in that service sector. Oh my gosh, I can't. So I'm happy we talked about this, get some more light on it. Next up, we have Amanda, and this is a thank you to you. Hi, I just wanted to give you a positive comment, Scott.
Thank you. I need those sometimes. People have been crapping all over me from Northern Ontario for the last 24 hours. Can I tell you before you read this?
Yeah.
So I commented on social yesterday, and it was a simple comment. They want to restart this Northlander train, and they want to have train service regularly back and forth between Union Station and Timmins and Cochrane. It's a long way.
Yeah.
We're talking about a place that's like 20 hours to drive to. It's a long way to be running trains empty. And while I do think the Toronto to Muskoka part is probably going to be quite successful, I think there's a lot of people who would like to take the train up to Cottage Country.
Absolutely.
Once we get past Muskoka and we get into the middle of Northern Ontario, how many people are going to be on that train, and is it going to be worth it to operate it like that? Or could we just run buses instead? The amount of people that message me, well, you've clearly never gone north of Highway 7. You've clearly never been to Northern Ontario. You've never driven these roads. Just so you know, my daughter went to school in Sudbury for years. I've been back and forth to Northern Ontario dozens of times. I've driven those roads, and I agree with you. In the wintertime, they can be a little scary. But I've also seen the train break down between here and Ottawa. What's it going to be like when it breaks down in the middle of Northern Ontario and it takes 12 hours for rescuers to get there? I'm a little worried about that, but my bigger concern is, again, the government's not good at running things. They're good at governing. They're not good at business. And frankly, we can't afford to waste any more tax dollars. It's totally fair for someone like me who pays my taxes to ask, is there actually enough demand to run that train back and forth between Toronto and Cochrane 4 or 5 times a week? Is there enough demand for it? Because if there's not, let's look at other alternatives. No matter what, the government is going to have to subsidize that train. How much per ride? And if it turns out that we're losing $500 million a year on it, $1 billion a year on it, how much are we willing to lose for this? Because one of the arguments I hear is, well, there's people in Northern Ontario that have to get to Toronto for medical appointments. Well, how about instead of losing $1 billion a year, we just build you a state-of-the-art hospital up there? Wouldn't that make more sense and serve a bigger role? We can look at other solutions. And I'm not saying the Northlander is bad. I just think it's very dishonest of the government to announce they're doing something and then say, we'll let you know how much it costs later. You got to give us the cost numbers now so that we can talk about this. But they don't want us to talk about it. They're going to divide. And the divide is there already. Ford is going to try and get everybody from Northern Ontario screaming, we need it, we need it, we need it. And I don't blame them. Sure they need it. Sure they want it. Well, they want it. I don't know if they need it. They probably do need it, actually. But the rest of us have a right to ask a practical question like, how much money is this going to cost? We're out of money. We're broke. We can't just keep pissing money away. And if this is going to piss money away, let's figure out a better use for that money. Anyway, go on, Anna.
Okay. Well, that was great. Well said.
Thank you. I'm just frustrated at it. But like I said, people are crapping all over me because Ford dropped the wedge, and fine, he'll get the 5 seats in Northern Ontario. Good. But if we're losing $1 billion a year running a train that there's just not the demand for, then I think that I feel justified in asking the question.
Yeah, we can't afford to lose any more money. All right. Amanda went on. So let me just start from the beginning.
Yes,
it's nice
sorry for the interruption.
No, it's good. Amanda says, hey, I just wanted to give you a positive comment, Scott. I really admire your bravery in tackling the vaccine issue. It is such a sensitive topic. It seems like so much of this comes down to one group trying to control another. Why is that so common today? Why is it so common? I highly recommend an inconvenient study. It's well done, informative, and available online for free. It especially gets good about an hour you're in. Love your pod. I listen daily and really appreciate what you do. Keep up the great work, Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda. Can you say the name of that documentary again?
Yeah, it's an inconvenient study.
An inconvenient study.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone,
online for free.
Apparently, this is available online, and it's about vaccinations. Listen, the medical establishment, particularly the pharmaceutical industry, who makes a lot of money off of people getting vaccinated, is going to go to any length they have to try and convince you to put as many vaccines in your body as they possibly can. You saw it during COVID. When they have the government trying to do their sales work for them, that's even worse. How hypocritical is it that every time you watch something on television or online, you see an ad for Ozempic, Wegovy, and all these other pharmaceuticals, but your local pot shop, which is employing people here in our community, isn't even allowed to advertise that they're there or what their hours are, let alone the products they sell. This is a racket. This is another division thing because they prey on people being afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm ready to ask the questions. Is it safe? Is it effective? Can you prove that to me? If you want me to take my perfectly innocent newborn baby who is defenseless and I've got the doctor saying vaccinate, 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 put all 17 shots in him, get him vaccinated. Forgive me, but I'd like to know exactly what I'm putting in my kid, and I'd like to know that you firmly believe that you have tested it and you know it's safe and effective. No matter what, there's something wrong going on. We're producing way, way, way more kids these days than we used to with unique, special, and high needs. I think we should address that. They'll shout you down if you say there's a link to vaccines, and I am not saying that there's a link between vaccination and autism, but frankly, something's got to be there. These vaccinations, what's in them? Why are they so insistent? Is it really just about the money? Why do you get demonized when you ask questions? Why do they look at you like you're a complete and total a-hole if you are just a little hesitant? Nobody wants to make the wrong decision for their kid. Everybody wants to know that they're doing the best they possibly can for their kid. And it's confusing because you've got doctors saying, oh, you should totally do it. And then we've got everybody else saying you should always trust your doctor. But we all went through COVID and we all saw how crazy and hysterical our public health officials and our doctors got. They were borderline going to drop or jam it in you whether you wanted it or not. They completely segregated you from society if you didn't want the shot. They're going to keep doing that. But it's totally fair for you to ask questions about the efficacy of these vaccines and why it's necessary. Prove to me that it's safe, effective, and necessary, because I don't want to do the wrong thing for my kid. You don't want to do the wrong thing for your kid. We just want answers, and we want the truth, not obscured by profits, not obscured by hidden agendas and things like that. I just want the truth. Just tell me, and I'll make an informed decision. If you tell me it's really recommended that your kid get the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, and we've got 80 years worth of safety data on it, and we can tell you this is a safe and effective vaccine, I'll believe you. You just tell me that and I'll believe you. But then you roll out something brand new that there's no way you could have tested that yet, and you insist the kid has to have it. Don't fault me for asking a few questions about it. I'm trying to advocate for regular people that are confused and they're going to get scared. And they just want the right information. And it seems like they can't get that anywhere. So I'm always going to stay on that issue. I believe that people should have the right to make their own choices, particularly when it comes to their health care. I would love for the government to stay out of it. And I would love to know that we can trust the information that we get from our healthcare professionals. Unfortunately, I've seen a fair bit of anecdotal evidence that I don't know if I trust my doctor. You know, my doctor says to me, well, Scott, at your age, you should have this and that. No. I'll make my own decision on that. You're not going to pressure me into anything anymore because you also told me I should take that stupid COVID shot. And now I'm trying everything I can to get that damn spike protein out of my body. I think a lot of people are, by the way. Apparently you can do it through dietitians and people like that. If you are concerned about that spike protein that they put in you with the COVID shot, talk to a dietitian, a registered dietitian, talk to a nutritionist, because they have some methods to try and cleanse your body of what we put in it. And frankly, I don't want that COVID shot in me anymore.
That's fair.
It's totally fair for everybody.
Yep.
Listen, we need to make our own decisions. We need to be able to count on the information we're told and know that it's reliable, accurate info. You give us that, and I guarantee vaccine hesitancy will go completely down. But right now, there's no trust, and that's the problem.
Okay, next up, Joy. This is going to be a fun one to read. Just listen to listener DMs. Scott's getting serious. I hope I did you justice, Joy. She went on to say, I have Larry Brock here in Brantford, and he's amazing. I call him a pit bull. I'm so excited for you. Can't wait to see you run. We need this conservative movement to win. Bring on those podcasts, breaking down C9 to everyone and more. Don't stop. We need you. So appreciate you. Thanks so much. And all the best to you and your family, and the best year ahead, from Joy.
Joy, thank you very much. She mentioned Larry Brock. Larry's a great guy. He does such good work. He was actually here. I had a great chat with him not that long ago. We didn't record it. We were just chatting. But he is going to come on, I think, and do a pod at some point soon. And there's really nobody better to explain some of the controversial legislation in front of us, like Bill C9. So that's stuff that it's coming in 2026. I'm going to go more in depth on a lot of different issues. The daily issues will continue, but there will be specialty ones on certain topics specifically. You want me to do well? Thank you. Did she say she wants me to run?
Yeah, I was like, did I miss an announcement?
Well, I'm happy to tell you at this point that that'll be up to Pierre Poilievre if I run.
Tell me more.
That's all I'm going to say for now.
Oh, okay.
But the leader decides on whether or not a candidate will be approved, and there's some stuff in the works. So that's up to Pierre Poilievre. If I'm going to be a candidate, he has to make that decision. But either way, I would love to do it. It would be the honor of a lifetime to be able to use my voice, my platform, my experience, you name it, to try and help out the middle class. Because frankly, I feel like in Ottawa right now, none of the people sitting on the government side are particularly interested in helping the middle class, save a few. Someone like Nate Erskine-Smith. There's somebody who is principled. I believe he cares about people. I believe he is in tune with the issues. That's a liberal who I disagree with him on everything, but I respect the hell out of him for the way he conducts himself and for what he prioritizes. I think that's essential. We need more people in Parliament that are concerned about people and concerned about their riding, and in particular, getting the middle class back to prosperity. And I don't see that from any of those other liberals, really. And I'm concerned that if there is a snap election in the spring, and there's every reason to think we're going to be voting in April, by the way, I'm concerned that Canadians are going to make the wrong choice again. And it's going to lead to 4 more years that we can't get out of with a majority Liberal government. I don't think we can allow that to happen, but it could. It's a reality. So Conservatives better be ready to stand up and fight. And I don't mean fight literally. I mean that metaphorically. And but I'm serious about it. Like, it's time to try and dispel the myths. It's time to stand up against the division and the flat out lies that come out of the government side. And it's time to try and fight for a free Canada that has a prosperous middle class again. That's the way I see it.
All right, Becky, this is our last one, but very good as well, like all of them today. Becky writes, good morning. 2 things. Ford dropping the EV pickup was a smart move. I've been looking for a truck for my farm and to haul my horse, but finding one that won't kill me at the gas pump is tough. I ended up buying a Ford F-150 Power Boost, their hybrid truck, and I love it. I even make it a goal to see how low I can get the kilometers. And one day it was under 8. I'm not interested in a full EV, but a hybrid is a perfect compromise.
And you know what? That's a great point. You know, the government wanted to go all in on mandating everybody has to buy an EV. And there was a lot of people like myself that said, well, hold on a second here. Number one, government, that's incredible overreach. You can't tell us what kind of car we can and can't drive, especially when your only reasoning is environmental ideology. That's the only thing they've got. But there is a practical side to driving an electric vehicle, namely in the fuel savings. Now gas is getting cheap, and there's a lot of reason to think it's going to get even cheaper now that the Americans have got Venezuela's oil. So I think the hybrid is a perfect compromise. But the government didn't want to compromise. That would have been the perfect one. Hey, listen, we're not going to mandate it, but we're certainly going to ramp up the production requirements for hybrid vehicles so that you get the best of both worlds. A little bit of electrical, a little bit of gas. It would have been much easier for the transition from gas to electric. It would have been so much better, but the government wouldn't meet us halfway. You're going to buy a damn SUV that is electric, and that's the end of it. No, that's not the end of it. I'm glad people spoke up and that mandate is gone. Not gone yet, actually, just paused. We should be able to have a hybrid. A hybrid is the perfect compromise. I'm glad that she sent that in. That's the way things should be going. First and foremost, though, people need to have a choice.
Yeah. Okay. So that was number 1. Becky, number 2 says, hey, silent date guy and girl. I love following their story. Silent date girl is awesome. And I wish I had her confidence. How is this relationship between Silent Date Guy and her son going? And do they hang out much? Will that be addressed on Saturday?
Actually,
Okay.
we did spend a decent amount of time not just talking about how he gets along with her kid, but how he gets along with her ex-husband.
Oh,
We went into that too. He's still around.
Is he single?
I don't know. Not sure.
Not asking for me, asking for a friend, truly. All right, so she's also invested as much as we are, and that update will be coming out tomorrow on Saturday. And then she went on to say, thanks for keeping me informed about the news, and I look forward to more in 2026.
Love it. Thank you, friends. This was a fun listener DM show. This weekend, the Silent Date update comes out. Next week, I'm going to do an episode on the Northlander, and we're going to talk about transportation into remote areas of Canada and a whole bunch more. We've got the Prime Minister ready to go over to... he's going to China, and that's a real interest. China, who's hitting us with 100% tariffs right now, who Carney himself said was the biggest threat to Canada, who we know has interfered in Canadian elections. We're going over there to try and do a trade deal. We have to, because Trump got Venezuela, and now he doesn't need Canada anymore. They're scrambling in Ottawa right now. They're panicking in Ottawa right now. We'll see what happens next week, but I'll have it all covered right here on Scott Fox After 9. Friends, have yourselves a great weekend. I'll leave you with just a couple seconds of Pat James and The Whole Truth. Hey now, this whole song is available on Spotify, Apple Music, and wherever you get music. Save it and enjoy. Have a great weekend. Anna, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.